I want to talk to you today about payment terms in your business because this is such an emotive area for a lot of people. But what I so often see is people being relaxed or being very generous or being very fair to customers with their payment terms, but actually leaving their own business exposed as a result. So your payment terms are primarily there to protect your business and to ensure that you have consistent, predictable cash flow. So when you find yourself thinking, maybe I should just be a bit flexible with this particular client, maybe I should, not invoice until I've done a bit of work for them. You don't need to bend over backwards to prove yourself to a client. You definitely don't need to put your business at risk. So what I would advise you on this is to make sure that your payment terms are absolutely clear. They are rigid, they are not woolly, they are not fluffy, they're not open to discussion or negotiation. Make them really clear. And what that does is it gives the customer absolute clarity. It gives you clarity on your cash flow. And more than anything, it actually shows the customer that you are professional and that you are serious about your business. This isn't about being mates, having a laugh, being lovely. This is a business transaction and your terms, your payment terms should reflect that. So a crucial thing I would encourage you to think about is, wherever possible, taking payment up front, at least a deposit or a partial payment. I'm always surprised these days when a new supplier tells me that they will work for me for a month and then they will invoice me. Because that's great for me as the customer, but in some ways I feel like I'm getting off a bit scot-free. But it also perhaps means I'm not quite as committed as I could be to the work that they're doing for me, because as yet I don't have any skin in the game. I haven't actually made that financial commitment, so perhaps I'm not quite as invested. And if there are things that I need to do to make sure that this work goes effectively as possible, maybe I'm not totally on board with that, whereas your customer is very on board when they've actually made a payment to you. So I would always encourage you to take payment up front, or as I say, at least a deposit or a commitment payment, a down payment, whatever that needs to be. In a lot of industries, people will say, this just doesn't happen in my industry. But the thing is, your customer doesn't deal with all of these people in your industry. More often than not, your customer hasn't got a clue what the standard payment terms are in your industry. And you don't have to have the same payment terms as everybody else in your industry. It's your business. You get to define what those terms are. The other thing you might want to think about is using automated solutions, particularly if you take regular payments from customers. So if you have a monthly arrangement, if you've got a retainer or something like that, then using something like Stripe or Go Cardless is a brilliant way to give you that predictability of cash flow. It puts you absolutely in control. It gives you real certainty about when payments are coming in, gives you visibility very quickly if there is a problem with a payment as well. And think on the customer's perspective as well, is that sometimes people think, customers don't like to be tied in, or I don't want to seem too bossy. But put yourself in the shoes of that customer. And actually, what's much more preferable is really clear, very obvious, predictable payments, rather than slightly wishy-washy. Maybe I'll get invoices on different dates and I'll have to try and remember to make the payment. For me, in my business, everything possible is paid on standing order. So I don't have to remember, I don't have to do any admin with it. My cash flow is very consistent and predictable. And I can also guarantee I actually pay people on time, because I'm mortified if I don't. So when you perhaps think you're being pushy or greedy by insisting on earlier payments or automated payment systems, you're not. Most of the time, this is actually in the customer's best interests as well as in yours. So make sure you have those really clear payment terms in place. Include advance payment wherever possible. But then what you also have to do is demonstrate to the customer that you will absolutely adhere to these payment terms. So if you're sending invoices, always send those invoices on time. You can't expect a customer to consistently pay on time if you're a little slapdash about when you invoice them. But you also need to show things like, if the customer is overdue, that you are going to chase that quite quickly. Doesn't have to be big and bolshy, just a little nudge, but that shows the customer that you observe these payment terms. And when they see that organisation and professionalism from your side, you will also find that degree of organisation and commitment on their side to make sure that those payments happen on the right date. So I'd absolutely encourage you to be super clear about payment terms. Always let the customer know right up front exactly what they are and be certain that everyone knows where they're at. If you feel that this is a really woolly or wishy-washy area of your business, but you're nervous about getting much clearer or more robust with it, this is exactly the type of thing I can help with. So leave me a comment wherever you're watching this video, or have a nosy at my website, tailory.co.uk, and you can message me through there to arrange a chinwag, and let's talk about how we can get some really robust terms and conditions in your business.